Hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here in Moscow. What I'll talk about today is what are strong brands in 2018. And at the same time I'll test this clicker, which doesn't work. And I will talk about what is an effective brand in the next few years. And eventually we will... Guys, I need the new clicker if this doesn't work. Oh, okay. So 2018, in the next few years, and eventually we will take a sneak peek what brands will be in the future. So, the word brand. There's a reason why the people at Burning Man, this is kind of, this connection is a little bit weak, but I'll be fine. So, the reason why people at Burning Man don't really like to be called a brand is clear, and I agree with them. The word brand is full of shit. We should stop using it. It's 2018, and why is it a bad word? Why it is something that we should change within us? And it's difficult, isn't it, to change? Well, first of all, the people at Burning Man don't use this word because it's something greedy. It has a lot of different meanings. If I ask Nadia, if I ask Kevin, if I ask any of you in the audience, you'll give me a little bit of a different definition of what a brand is. And Muhammad Ali once said that it is important what happens in the limelight. It is important that you put in work, but what is more important is what happens behind the scenes. And I think this same thing applies to brands also, especially in 2018. So instead of the traditional way of building a brand, and that is polishing the surface, we should dive deeper and look what goes on behind the scenes, what happens below the surface. Now, a few years ago, I was living in Miami, and I started a new hobby. I started CrossFit, and in the beginning it was difficult. There was a lot of difficult movements, and a lot of things that I, as a beginner, had to listen to the coaches. And I went to this CrossFit gym called CrossFit Muscle Farm, and I noticed that they have a really strong culture. A lot of times when you go to the gym, people leave the weights on the floor. And if this happened at Muscle Farm, it was totally against the rules. They reacted immediately. And another thing that I noticed, that these coaches on this photo, there's Kerry, Joseph, and Carlos. They would come and train every day they had a day off. They really believed in the product. They loved the brand so much that they were willing to come to the workplace when they had a day off. So for me, it was easier to listen to them because I noticed that these guys actually believe what they sell. If we look at a brand like Muji, for example, the Japanese design brand, they have a promise. They promise to make our lives simple. And I believe that instead of using the word brand, we should talk about what is your organization's promise. And if this is something that you don't know at the moment, I'm going to give you a bit of a homework. You need to figure it out. Why? Because promise is the soul of an organization. So let's start to talk about promise and start using the word promise instead of a brand. Now, I'll give you another shitty word, and I don't believe in strategy. It is boring, and it's overused. So, the business world for some reason is obsessed with the future. Like the next quarter, the next year, we're gonna do this and this, right? I believe that we should be obsessed with the past. At the end of the day, there's only two strategies any company can have. You can either compete, create something that doesn't exist, create more for more, which means that you can be more expensive, or you can compete, be the same as everyone else, which means that you need to be cheaper. You provide less for less. You choose which one of these is the strategy of your company. Now, if we want to understand what is a strong brand in 2018, we need to look to the fringes. The innovation is a bad word, and creativity doesn't happen often in the center. It comes from the fringes. If we want to understand what is a strong brand in 2018, let's look at biker gangs. They have everything that a strong brand has. They have their own values, they have their own space, they have their own legends, they have their own snitches, their own lingo. They are a platform for a culture. At the center of it, there's the promise of freedom and brotherhood, and it's driven by the values of freedom and loyalty. Now, in 2018, if you look at any marketing campaign, I want you to pay attention to three different things. Look at it from three different dimensions. The first one is reach. How many people does this campaign reach, right? And if you have a lot of money, of course, it helps. You can put money on advertising and the reach will be bigger. The second one is the production value. That is essentially how well was it produced and how well was it done, right? And if you have a lot of money, it helps. The last one is depth. It is how deeply into our souls and hearts does this message pour into. And every now and then when I introduce this XYZ axis, people ask me, where's creativity on this one? It's on all of these axes. Let me give you an example. This is a Russian rapper called Face. What he raps about is mostly money and bitches. It doesn't have a lot of depth. Beyoncé, on the other hand, for the last few years, has been talking about what is a black woman's role in American society. So you can imagine which one will be remembered after 10 years and which one matters after 10 years. The same logic applies to marketing campaigns. So instead of being obsessed with the future, we should be obsessed with the past. All of us, we have our own goals. I don't believe in business life and personal life. I believe only in life. Every Sunday, we can sit down and we can think about what kind of a week was this? Was I a good friend? Was I a good partner? Was I a good boss? And if you say yes, you're successful. Success is easy. And if no, the next week you have a new opportunity. In a world that is changing more quickly than ever, companies are not run by strategies. The boards, the men with the suits on, they can do that. And I have experience, so I'm allowed to say that. But what really runs the company is the values of it. And they stem from the promise of the company. Now, another thing that I hear every now and then, that the world is superficial. And that is bullshit. The world is not superficial. Here I am. A few years ago, I was living in Seoul in Korea. Every Monday, I would take a cab and go to a Western grocery store and buy exactly the same groceries every week, because there was only a limited amount of products that I actually knew what they are. So I bought the same thing every week, and this is a true story, not a joke. So here I am. I'm trying to figure out what kind of eggs should I buy, because there were like probably 30 different eggs, and I'm trying to look for symbols. Like maybe this one is healthy, maybe this is organic, give me something. The world that we live in is full of symbols. And we need to, as marketers, we need to give as many symbols of our promise as possible. The visual identity is one of those. Of course, packaging is one of those symbols. To me, this is experiential. It's an experience when you open the product. How does it feel like? How does it smell like? How does it sound like? This is experience marketing. A personal brand is probably the biggest symbol of your organization and of your promise. What matters in life is invisible, but we use the visible to understand it, right? 90% of our decision making is emotional. 10% is based on logic. Right, Kevin? So we decide with our emotions. And this is, for some reason, difficult to understand. How many of you are married? Raise your hand. How many of you did an Excel sheet of your partner when you decided to get married? You put on Excel that these are the strengths of my partner and these are the minus sides. The bigger the decision, the more emotional it is. Now, the biggest mistake that any company can do in 2018 is underestimate the beauty, the power of beauty. Beauty is the highest form of hope, of how things could be better. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is not superficial. The world is symbolic. The next thing I want to talk about is another word that from this day onwards we shouldn't use anymore. And now we are back in Korea. And this is the Noryanjin fish market. It's a market. It used to be a place where we would buy products, but we would also exchange information and meet other people. Let's see. Virgil Abloh, who is one of the most hyped creative directors in the world right now, he said that if people want to buy something in 2018, they go online and buy it. People go to the store for the experience. To me, this is experiential marketing. Virgil's fashion brand of white, this is the reason why it doesn't look like a normal store. It looks like a garden, or it looks like an office. And this is what we need. I feel that only assholes talk about consumers. We shouldn't use the word consumer anymore, because there is a better word for it. The whole mentality of your organization changes if you stop using the word consumer. And that word is a customer. So my radical idea is that we are not ignorant assholes anymore who look at our customers as gray masses and talk about consumers. Our consumer strategy is this, and by next quarter our brand strategy is this. No, we start using the word customer. Now, in a world where we are flooded with information, attention becomes luxury. This is the pattern of business in 2018. You need attention to get people to buy things for the first time, and you need experience. Give them a good experience so that they will buy your product again, and that leads to revenue. Modern marketing is about getting attention and communicating how it would be like to use this product. This same applies to relationships. If you don't give your partners attention, and if you don't give them a feeling that it's good to be with you, that relationship won't work. This is simple. The formula for business in 2018. It's time to move on. And let's take a look at what and how things need to change in the next few years. The thing I want to talk about is the power of shaping what we want to want. And this is a key thing when it comes to building a brand. Now, one of the greatest creative directors of all times, Leonardo da Vinci, said in the 16th century, as you cannot do what you want what you can do. If you can't get a Tesla or Mercedes, buy something cheaper, maybe a bicycle, right? About 300 years later, Schopenhauer said that we are free to do what we want, but we are not free to want what we want. And this is the essence of building a brand. Media, technology, and brands dictate what we want to want. Our needs are the same. We want to be brothers and sisters, we want to be good friends, we need food, we need something to drink, and so on. Our needs are the same. But one of us wants a vegan meal, and another one wants a McDonald's meal. And when I say this, people of course react that it's not true. That I don't believe you. Not me. No. I don't do that. Well, let me give you a few examples, all right? How many letters have you written last year? Did you write last year? Not that many. We used to write a lot, but then when I was a kid, my dad bought this huge phone that we would take to the car or to our summer place if we needed to leave our house. So we went from writing letters to actually like, no, I don't like to write. I like to speak. I want to speak. It's important. If someone rings me, I need to have this huge brick in our car. And then a few years later, no, actually like, no, I want to write. It's more fun to write. We started sending text messages. And then as time went on, we started talking again. We made this shell format or for design language, cell phones. We wanted to speak as much as possible. Then time went on, and we got iPhones, and we got the smartphones, and we wanted to text again. This is an app from Korea that 99% of Koreans use, KakaoTalk. An average couple in Korea sends 200 messages to each other every day. And at the moment, it looks like our main way of communicating with media, with different brands and media, is by texting. In the future, we will go back again, because we can't control what we want to want. So in the future, we will want to speak to these devices again. This is what we will do in the future. So this is just one example of how media, brands, and technology dictate what we want to want. Let me give you another example. In the late 90s, in the early 2000s, there was this global hit show called Sex and the City. And this was about how it is cool to have sex with everyone, right? And now when I go on YouTube and I look at what the hell these millennials are talking about, it's all about how to avoid fuckboys. So it's not cool to have casual sex anymore. So we turned 180 degrees. That's how we are. technology creates new etiquette. And how etiquette is born. First, something is accepted, then something is expected. And this is where we need to pay attention to. If we don't write letters anymore, this used to be etiquette that if you go to a foreign country, you send a postcard back home. It disappeared. Now, if we go and have dinner together and everybody is on their cell phone, it first becomes accepted and then it becomes accepted. We need to pay attention to this kind of stuff. We can't treat each other like we are invisible anymore, because that's not the future of our society and it's not the future of business. There's a real person behind the screen. And we need to remember that. If we work with robots in the future, we need to treat each other like humans. And we all seen how quickly these changes happen. Social media changes practically in a decade. It's super fast. So if we don't pay attention to our own behavior, these media, technology, and brands will change us. So, we are not free to do what we want to do. We are not free to want what we want to be. And we are not free to want what we want to want. And where does that lead us? How do you then shape what people want to want? That is by creating convergence culture. And essentially what it means, it is like, how do you create change? And in New York, there's a media company called Complex. They don't sell advertising. They sell convergence culture. They sell change. How a brand that is not cool among millennials anymore, how it can become something that's cool again. So basically, they look at all the elements that the biker gangs or Burning Man already has, and they create cultures that reflect it. And basically, this is the same thing as what Highsnobiety does. It's an online website that focuses on fashion, technology, and entertainment. Every now and then I hear that there's a marketer who says that, but I need to sell stuff. You know, like I have these sales goals that I need to reach. This is tactical marketing. It's only about stuff you can buy. This, when I was growing up, we got these direct mail catalogs from Anttila. This shaped in Finland what we wanted to want. So when I saw this, I needed to get this Mickey Mouse shirt. Simple as that. And at that time, this was valued. It didn't feel that we were being sold to. It was something nice that we got delivered to our home. But there's the key. Our approach needs to be indirect. We want to be seduced. All of us, men and women. And another example, let me just go back. Another example that doesn't work, but it's okay. That was a shitty clip anyhow. So that was a clip of a TV shop, stuff that they used to sell on TV. And it was too direct. They went overboard. It didn't feel like something that we wanted to buy. It felt like we were being sold to. But this leads to the fact that in the future, all businesses, all the agencies that we have, all the brands that we create, we have even greater responsibility, greater than ever before. And now, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to take a look into the future? I will take you on a journey to the future of our planet. And here it is. The future of our planet is a lot of old people in big cities. And in Korea, as on many other things, they're already there. They have their own neighborhood that is dedicated only for senior citizens. And this is something that we need to take seriously. It will be an exceptional situation where there are so many societies where a huge part of the citizens are more than 50 years old. Some researchers say that we will definitely live longer than any other generation before. And some scientists even say that the person who will live 200 years, more than 200 years, has already been born. And in fact, that person might be in this room. The scientists have developed a robot that is a better lover than a man. So creativity, empathy are the skills that we need in the future at our workplaces and in our personal lives. We will probably work with robots in the future, but we need to get more creative. This is a cuddling robot. It's something that you can cuddle with, and it makes you sleep better. Some of us might feel that it's not right. Some of us might feel that it solves a huge problem, loneliness. We need to be touched. That is a huge problem. These are the key questions that we need to face in the future. To think about what is wrong, what is right, and be different than the robots are. And it means being more human, making mistakes, watching other people in the eye, turning off the cell phone when you have dinner. I hope that the future of marketing is not surveillance marketing. I hope that it's not something that the brands know every single thing about you. We saw what happened to Princess Diana when she lived a life without privacy. Our children need to understand what is the concept of privacy. That's our responsibility. We live at the moment in a world of data monarchy. There's one country, one state, where they have more data than anywhere else. They are all based in one part of the world. We need to have the right to decide how much of our data we give to these companies in the future. These companies have more power than any king had on any other time and age in history. Everything that can be digitalized and automatized will be done so. So if you have children, please make sure that they don't study something that is obvious that will be digital and automated in the future. We need to be more human in the future. Next, I want to give a couple of things that what I believe in and what I would like to see how the marketing communications industry will develop in the future. I believe that the future of media looks like this. Future media will be something that we will be a partner in our lives. It will be kind of like a dog, something that is intelligent, but in a different way than we are, but still almost a member of the family. I believe that the future of events will be both physical and digital. The future of events will be creating worlds where it's difficult to define if this is artificial or if it is real. This is something that I will talk about a little bit more during my workshop this afternoon. The future of retail is to be more beautiful. The future of retail is to be more experiential. The future of customer service is to be either super fast or super slow, depending on what the customer actually wants. The future of advertising is to be more like art. It is something that will change us, something that we will pay attention to, something that is timeless, and something that is valuable.
Tell me,
Then the question is, of course, what is the future marketer? Ladies and gentlemen, the future marketer is someone who brags less and cares more. Ladies and gentlemen, the future marketer is less like Face and more like Beyoncé. Ladies and gentlemen, this was my presentation about the future of brands and marketing communication. What I want to give you as a homework is to think about what is the promise of you as a person and what is the promise of your organization. I want to give a couple of book recommendations to end my presentation. Thank you so much.